I'm trying to hear all the instruments and all this music tonight. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the 411 podcast. We have My Survivor Voice, the podcast, coming in the building tonight, y'all. Sunday, December 19th. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Go ahead and tag your friends and let them know what's going on inside the 411 podcast. I want to say very special shout out to the people who was hanging out there with me before we got started here out there on TikTok. You can do me a favor and drop it in the comments and let me know where you are actually calling from. So for the new people, whenever I say where you're calling from, basically I just want to know, where you're coming from. A couple nights ago, we had France in the building. We had Portugal in the building. So we just keep moving up and up and up. Definitely appreciative of every single person that comes through. Shout out to everybody out there on Facebook. Thank you for doing the thing. 411 podcast, y'all. Let's get it. What's going on, Will and Neek? I see y'all out there. Thank you. All right, so now I want to get into the song of the day. So I've been doing this since December 1st. So basically, just speaking on Christmas music. So it's the time of year. So I remember this as a kid, though. Curtis Blow, Christmas rapping, 1980. Shout out to all of the 80s babies out there. What did you feel when you heard this song? And it was surprising that my mom and everybody else didn't turn it off because they weren't really into all of the rapping and stuff like that. But he did something a little bit different. Christmas rapping, Curtis Blow, 1980, song of the day. What is your favorite Christmas song? What Christmas music are you listening to right about now? I want to go ahead and give a very special shout out to Alice. She was on last night from Reading to Something podcast. We definitely had some great conversation. So I strongly urge y'all to go ahead and watch the replay from last night. Shout out to Mr. Jason T. Davis from Los Angeles. Thank you for the support. Vibes by Royale. What's going on? Miss Calendar. I'll say your first name because I'm going to get it messed up. But I want to say what's up. I'll be talking to you soon. By that time, I'll be able to get my words together. But Miss Calendar, thank you so much. She'll be on Wednesday on Reading Between the Wines, which comes on at 8 o'clock. Switch Thrift Clothing Company. My girl Kay Cole from Karma's Paradise. Y'all go ahead and click that link above. All of my social media platforms and click on Karma's Paradise exclusive. You'll be able to get a copy of my new book, My Inspirations, Volume 1.5, The Liberation Remix Journal, a 30-day transformational journey towards a healthier mindset. I partner with Kay Cole from Karma's Paradise, and she has an exclusive t-shirt for you. You will get a signed copy of my book, along with a poster and an ebook as well. So go ahead and click that link and support Kay Cole from Karma's Paradise. Mr. Farrell Higginbotham from my hometown, Trenton, New Jersey. Sophie Davis from the UK, along with Miss Rebel Jewel. My boy, Mr. Nate Perry, all the way from Brooklyn, New York. It's all in the cars with Kathy. And then we have Leah Abraham. Thank you so much for supporting. I also want to say what's up to Neek, who's out there from Coral LLC. We also have a partnership as well. But let me tell you that she really did her thing today for my virtual book signing. And it was amazing. Great way to send me off. And y'all go ahead and check it out at Coral, CORO.LLC. Great person. Once you get in there, you'll be able to understand exactly what type of person she is. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Definitely did a great job today. So had a lots of fun earlier. 411 podcast, y'all. Getting ready to have a good conversation with Miss Danny from my Survivor Voice podcast. All right. So now we getting ready to start getting into some of the craziness here. How long after a major breakup do you think somebody should wait before they start getting into something new? And this has always been very interesting to me because I've had it happen. Everybody has had it happen where you've gone through something, right? And you might be wanting to get out there and start something new. But there's always somebody that's in your corner that's like, it's not the right time. Don't do it. And I'll be just thinking to myself, how the hell do you know it's the right time? Or don't go searching because you never know what you're going to find, or let the person come to you, all of this other BS. I mean, I'm just saying. Only reason why I say it like that is because the same people that be like, it's not the right time, they be the same ones that don't have anybody. So I don't know. When is the right time? What do you think? Do you go through a major breakup? Maybe you've been through a divorce. Maybe you are in a separation. Who the hell knows? I don't know. But do you think it's the right time? What's the time frame? A year, 6 months? I'll give you my opinion. I say if you've been through a major situation, which I've never, you know, done this before until, a couple years ago. I think you should at least wait about a whole year. That's getting with yourself, not fooling with anybody, not trying to even play the field or do anything at all. Just basically spend about a year getting to know who you are, realizing the mistakes that you made, what worked well in that relationship, what didn't, only so that you don't go ahead and trickle and bring something else in from previous into new. I don't know. I asked this question before, and somebody said the best way to get over somebody is to get under somebody immediately. So you can go from all different aspects. So, how long should you wait after a major breakup before you start getting into something new? Hmm. Let's see what my special guest has to say about this here. Hey, hey, hey.
Hello.
What's up? How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. Welcome to the 411 podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I feel like this is going to be a great show tonight. We're going to get into some real deep conversation, I believe.
Okay, I'm ready.
So I got a question for you. How long should somebody wait after a major breakup before they start, getting into something new?
How long should I wait? Okay, so I personally don't think you can put a time limit on it, but they should definitely wait until give themselves time to heal. So I think, well, I guess I can put a time limit on it because 2 weeks is way too short. But I don't
Mm,
think it should be a definitive time limit. Some people heal quicker than others. Depends on the situation.
mm.
But I definitely think you need to make sure that you have healed completely. For some people, that may take a year. For some people, that might take 2 or 3 years. But
Mm.
definitely make sure you've healed.
Wow. Shout out for the healing, cause damn, I don't think I could wait
Yes.
I don't think I could wait 2 or 3 years. That's a long time.
Listen, I don't think I could either. But I mean, just from past
Mm,
experiences, I can say that I probably should have waited
I
well
hear
over the
you.
time that I did wait.
I hear you on that one. The only thing I could say is thank you, Corona, I guess, because that helped me
Right.
get through some rough situations. Hell, that made me not even want to be around anybody. So thank you, Corona. That's
Right.
all I
Right.
gotta say. Oh man. So Where are you calling from?
I am in Brandon, Mississippi. Brandon is a little bitty town about uh, 20 minutes outside of the capital, Jackson. But I'm originally from Illinois.
Okay, okay. So now, is it real country out there?
Oh, is it? Absolutely.
I don't understand
But you
how
know
it's.
what? I love it though. I absolutely love it. Growing up in a larger city,
Mhm.
um, you know, you get used to the hustle and bustle. And then I went to college in Montgomery, Alabama, and it was a pretty busy city. So moving out here where there's some peace and quiet, there's like a pond by my house where my
Mhm.
husband can go fishing and stuff. Yeah,
Mhm.
I love it out here.
I just don't understand how it's still so country after all this time.
Well, Mississippi is in the Bible Belt. I'll say that. Which could
Mm.
be positive or negative depending on who you are.
Mhm.
For me, it has its perks, but there are also some drawbacks of us being in the Bible Belt. A lot of people here are not open to change and not open minded,
Mhm.
and not really willing to change some things. So, which in a way can be good on some things, like as far as we don't where I am, we don't have a lot of, because people don't change and everybody's kind of set in their ways. The larger crowds tend to go out to Jackson because people are more open minded there, and so we don't get a lot of hoopla and I don't want to say crime because every city has crime, but we don't have a lot here
Mhm.
because everybody just kind of stays to themselves. It's like a small, close knit community where, like, if somebody dies, everybody's bringing,
Mhm.
potluck dishes to your doorstep. So yeah.
So basically, what's going on, Serene Poems, and I also see what's the shit podcast out there. What's going on? Um, so this is an area, right? That if your car break down, you got to be concerned.
Okay, so not where I say. Now there are still some sundown towns in Mississippi. Don't get it twisted. There are definitely some towns here,
What
but not where I stay. Where I stay, if my car breaks down, somebody's definitely pulling over a hill
now? Now
for
wait,
sure, and
you
I'm not scared about it.
you just guess you just taught me something different. What did you say? Sundown town. What does that mean?
Oh goodness. Okay, so sundown towns are towns that people who look like you and I
I thought
don't
so.
need to be
I,
in once the sun goes down.
I thought that's what you
We
said.
need to push it on to the next.
I
Yeah.
thought that's what you said. Sundown town. Well, if that's the case, isn't it scary during the daytime then?
You know what? I don't know because I don't frequent those areas.
I got you. I got you. Hmm.
I steer clear of those towns. There are, but like I said, they're here. There are some towns. I mean, not just in Mississippi, across the southeast. I know for sure.
Hmm.
There are plenty of sundown towns in, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia. Even Florida has a few sundown
Hmm.
towns. So yeah, I don't know if it's good to be there in the day or night because I make sure I keep pushing. I won't even stop and get gas because they're downtown.
Wow, that's pretty deep. And that could
Yeah.
also be kind of scary too for people who are traveling and have no idea. Like if you're coming from
Right.
where I'm at in Jersey and you just happen to be traveling, visiting people, doing,
Mm-hmm.
you stumble across something that could cause a problem. See,
Absolutely, absolutely.
I always ask questions like that because I be thinking of the worst, like, oh, your car breakdown, what's going on? And I watch too many scary movies to begin with to even play with that stuff.
Yeah,
So let's get
yeah, and
past.
not only that, living in today's society, like you can never be too cautious anyway.
I hear you.
So it's good to ask questions.
Yes, yes, yes. What's going on out there, Larissa? Where are you calling from? And Serene Poems, where are you calling from again? It might have slipped my mind just that quick. You said trying to stay warm, so apparently the weather ain't too good where you're at. So, what's the weather like where you're at, Danny?
Okay, so it's crazy.
Hmm.
So it's hot one minute, cold the next. I go from my heat at nighttime. Like right now, I have my heat on. Tomorrow, I'll probably have my air conditioner on. It'll be 75. So
That's
yeah, it's
crazy.
up and down.
I don't think I could live like that. That's insane.
Welcome to good old Mississippi, where you put your gloves on at night. If you're working at night, you leave home with your gloves on, and when you come home, you need your shorts on. So yeah.
Yeah, that's craziness. Mm.
Yeah.
All right, so my Survivor Voice, the podcast. Talk to us about
Yes.
that.
Okay, so my Survivor Voice is a platform that was actually born out of pain. It's kind of like how you hear everybody saying, I found the purpose in my pain. That's pretty much what I did. I took my pain and I turned it into purpose with my Survivor Voice. So back in 2019, my niece, who I kind of grew up with her being more like my sister, because I'm only 7 years older than her. Her mom and I are 11. My sister, my oldest sister, and I, we're 11 years apart. And so I grew up with Jackie, is my niece's name, being more like my little sister than anything. But she was my niece. She had been in a relationship for 13 years. It was her high school sweetheart. She had been with this guy, only known since she was 15 years old. I got a call one night, and my mom is crying frantically, my sister's crying frantically, and they just proceeded to tell me that he, meaning her boyfriend, he killed them all. So, of course, I'm jolted out of my sleep, and I get up, and I'm like trying to wrap my head all around this. I'm like, no, maybe he did something, but maybe not. But he did. Long story short, what transpired, there were events leading up to it, of course. When the prior year in 2018, she started to kind of find herself, basically. She started to realize, like, she had always had these dreams and aspirations of being a NICU nurse or a labor and delivery nurse. And she didn't make good on those because she got pregnant, a couple of years out of high school when she was in college. And so she dropped out of college to take care of her children. And so the year prior, she decided, I'm going back to school, And it's crazy because one of the last messages she and I were texting, actually the week before she was murdered, we were texting, and she said she was in class, and I was like, oh, don't worry about it, just call me back later. She was like, I'm so proud of you for going back to school. And she was like, that's it, see, I want to make you guys proud, meaning like me and my sisters and my mom. And my last text message to her was, no, you want to make yourself out. You're who's most important. So that was that Wednesday. That Friday, we were all in like a group chat, my sisters and her. Like I said, she grew up like a little sister with us. She sent us a text message and was like, I'm moving out. I can't do this anymore. So we were like, okay. Well, she told him that she was going to move back in with her dad for a while. That Saturday, he came home and told her, no, you don't have to leave. I'll leave. So she was like, okay, good. I don't have to leave my home. He's going to leave. We know now that same day, he decided to go to the gun range. Of course, she didn't know. We didn't know none of that. So that was that weekend. That Wednesday, he came home. He called into work and told them he was not coming. He waited for her to come home. And we don't know what the argument was or what the conversation was, but there was an argument. The neighbor next door said she just heard blood-curdling screams. And he beat her beyond recognition. When we went to view her body, her face was so swollen. You could tell she had gotten ready for bed because there was, she had her retainers in her mouth. Her hair was supposed to have been tied up, but he ripped her hair from her scalp. He beat her to a pulp. And we're guessing that as she was headed up the steps, so we don't know if she was going to get to her kids or if she was going to call somebody. To this day, we'll never know. But he shot her in the back. And then he left her to basically suffocate on her own blood and die. While she's laying on the steps, he called his sister, and he told his sister that he had punched Jackie and choked her out. And during that time, his sister was like, well, if she calls the police, you're just going to have to deal with it, but you can come here and stay for the night. And his sister said he just started to like freak out. I don't know if he thought she was going to help him get away with it or what the case was. I don't think he expected her to say, well, you just have to deal with the police whenever she calls them. And she said that he proceeded to just freak out and say, no, she up out of here. We all got to go. You can't take care of my kid. And he proceeded to make his sister listen to him while he shot the youngest child, Fluff. She said he actually called Fluff's name, called the baby to him before he shot him. And then she started freaking out. So she hopped in her car and headed to their house. And she's having to listen to all of this unfold over the phone. And by the time she gets there, he had shot the other child, Gianna, shot her in the face and killed her and waited for his sister to break into the house, which set off the alarm, which is how my sister was alerted. The mom was alerted to know that something was wrong. But his sister broke into the house and she said that she went up the stairs, she saw Jackie's body. And then it was like he appeared out of nowhere at the top of the stairs and stood in the doorway of the bathroom with the gun in his mouth and pulled the trigger. So he took the easy way out. So, of course, as you can imagine, that left my family completely and totally devastated. And we fought hard to find answers like, were there warning signs? What did we miss? Did Jackie try to get help and never tell us? And so as I went through that process, the healing was really hard, just trying to get through it. And I started to realize that I started, volunteering at like domestic violence shelters, just trying to find answers. And in my mission to find answers, I realized that there was like this huge gap in communities of color, and not just in communities of color, but in the middle class, people who actually get domestic violence services. So I realized that like people who, if you've got a stable job and you try to get away, a lot of the times when you call these shelters, they're telling you, oh, well, you don't meet the income requirement. So women say because they know they don't meet the requirements to get this help, but they also don't have the funds to do it on their own. So they say. So my mission was to like make sure no other family ever felt that. So I started a nonprofit organization. That was to I wanted it to bridge that gap, that disparity in between those services. And as I was doing that, I started to realize that I started to get phone calls when I announced my nonprofit. I started to get phone calls from so many people I knew, people I didn't know, people I've known for like 30 years telling me, well, I'm so sorry what happened to Jackie, but that happened to me. I went through that. My daughter's father used to beat on me. And these are people I've known like years. And so I started to wonder, like, why is it that we as women who are, brown and normally, boisterous and willing to talk about so many things, why do we keep those traumatic events in our life so private and so quiet to ourselves? Like, why do we feel like we don't have that voice? And so that's where my Survivor Voice, the podcast, was born. I just wanted a platform for women who look like me to have a voice to share whatever traumatic experience. It didn't have to be domestic violence. Like I battled thyroid cancer. And my best friend, who I think may be watching right now, I'm not able to see, but she and I have this conversation all the time. Like we grew apart so bad. And I'm talking about best friend, like if you saw me, you saw her. Like we were together all the time, but during my thyroid cancer battle, we grew apart, so far apart, because whatever reason, there was something in me that it felt like I had to do it alone. It's not that she didn't want to be there. I just felt like, I'm not going to burden her with this. I went through radiation by myself. I had leg pain where I was walking on a cane and had neuropathy and nerve damage in my legs. And I did it all by myself, but I didn't have to. And it was so hard. And now looking back, I wish I did have somebody to talk to about those bad days or somebody to lean on. But I just felt like for whatever reason I couldn't. So my Survivor Voice is that platform for women to share whatever it is that they're going through. Because sometimes it's literally talking about your traumatic experience and how you came out on the other side can be so therapeutic, not just for you, but for somebody else who's currently going through it.
It is.
So that is what my Survivor Voice is. It's literally a once a month platform, where I have different guests on who survived so many different situations, and they just talk about their journey from trial to triumph, where they started and where they are now.
I am so at a loss of words. Your story is so powerful. I don't even know what to say. I want to know how you get the strength to do it, especially after that traumatic experience that your family went through.
Absolutely. It definitely comes from within. Sometimes you can care so much about something, or there could be a loss that is so devastating that literally that loss is what drives you. I honestly couldn't tell you how we got through it. Like, my sisters and I talk about it all the time. Like, I don't know, that whole, I don't know, I would say the entire year of 2019, because I joke now and I'm like, oh, just throw the whole year in the trash. But I would say that entire year is like, it's a blur. It's an entire blur, because there was so much revelation during that year. But literally, the loss is what drove me to keep pushing. I was like, nobody else can ever. When I say heart, you hear about heartbreak, but I mean true heartbreak, where I literally felt like the organ in my chest was literally damaged.
When I was listening to you explain it, and I'm sure people who watch the replay will get the same effect. It's almost like a horror story. Like you said your sister, or was it his sister, who broke
his sister? It was his sister that he called that had to break him out.
His sister. That was very risky. After hearing all that stuff, had no idea what would happen to her. Like,
right, and that's the other thing too. Like, he was so selfish in that moment. But I don't even, and of course, our family, extended family, or people who hear Jackie's story, because her story was like on oxygen and things like that.
That's
and in platforms like that, and it was in People. But people who read it, like, they're so, I mean, you have to go through and read the comments. And I know that's not healthy for us as family, but it's hard not to. But you go through and you read the comments, and they say things about his sister and how she should have got off the phone and called the police and all that. But in that situation, in something so traumatic like that, you have no clue what you would do.
Right.
And like, she needs some therapy. She's got a story that she, in that whole situation, she's a victim as well. And, she has to witness that. So, and I couldn't imagine having to have seen that.
Yeah. So, and that was going to be my next question. So, it obviously has been picked up by some of the networks. So, you said it is on Oxygen.
Yeah, Oxygen covered it, and People covered it. I know for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to watch this show called, I don't know if I got it right or not, but what is it, For My Man or For the Love of My Man? Have you ever seen that?
For My Man, I haven't watched that yet.
Yeah, that's a trip too.
It definitely is. It's crazy at what lengths people will go to for quote unquote love.
And then unfortunately, that's the reason sometimes that people stay in situations too long.
Absolutely.
And the fact that people feel that they have to have control over an individual is the fact that they have some issues. So being, a person who had control issues myself, I think that once you get one little inclination that somebody has a fit about controlling anything, you need to start to put the brakes on and be like, okay, something's not right here. Because
absolutely, I agree.
It could start off one way, and it could, of course, end another way. And you don't then jump in, you have nobody to intervene. Who knows what the hell could happen?
Right.
And you said they were together. They were together for so many years. Some people may
Mm-hmm. They
not.
had been together since she was 15, 16 years old. She was 28 when she passed away.
So I'm sure that there probably was something that showed signs of control or whatever, or something's not right back
Oh
then,
my gosh.
you know?
Yes, hindsight is always 2020.
Hmm.
We definitely now looking back see so many things that showed his controlling side. But again, we didn't see them then. Just a quick example. Their daughter had like some allergies or whatever, and he would do things like almost like she was a porcelain doll. And so they came to Mississippi one year to visit, and the baby wanted to go outside and play. He like wanted her to sit on the couch, and like literally would not let her go outside and play. And we were just looking like, oh, he doesn't want her to get out in the grass and have an allergic reaction, and oh, he's a protective dad, and oh, that's so sweet. But looking back, it was like, no, it was him being controlling, like, these are my possessions, and you're not going to tarnish them. He also would do things like, and this was more towards the end, but he would do things like set up the computer to record Jackie's conversations, and she'd be like talking to her mom, and then when they would get in an argument, he would use those conversations with her mom to like throw up in her face, like, yeah, you told your mom that I didn't help you, those types of things.
Goodness. Wow, something else. Mm.
Yeah.
Let everyone know where we can follow you at. I know you're on Instagram. Not quite sure if you have any
Yes.
other social media platforms, and then of course where we can listen in on your podcast.
Yes. So you can follow me. My personal Instagram is where I am most of the time, and that is truly Danny _LTRULYDANI _ELLE. And then my podcast does have an Instagram page as well. I've not been as active because I'm between seasons right now. The new season starts February 5th, but that page is at My Survivor Voice. And the nonprofit, if you just want to see what we do and find out more about services that we offer, it's the Instagram page is at Our 3 Inc. and the name of the nonprofit is Our 3 Memorial Foundation Incorporated. And we are a 501c3 registered organization. So you can check us out and see if there's anything that we could be of service with somebody needs us, please point them in our direction.
Absolutely.
And and R3 Inc. on Facebook as well.
Okay, so now your last episode that you recorded, did you do one for December or was it November?
I did not. The last episode was actually October. I took a hiatus because I have a struggle with the winter blues and a serious struggle, like a diagnosed SAD struggle. So yeah, I didn't want to commit to continuing the season through what I know are tough times for me of the year. Just because I'm one of those people that likes to hold true to my word. If I say I'm going to do it, I want to do it, and I couldn't see myself being able to maintain a quality podcast during that time. But you can listen to all the old season 1 episodes on Spotify, Apple, what else am I on? Google Podcasts, just any major listening platform. It's My Survivor Voice podcast. And you'll know it's me because I start every podcast with, hey, y'all, it's Danny. Yeah.
So the last episode, what did you discuss?
Okay, so my last episode was actually introducing myself. I was a little backwards because this is my first season. I'm a new podcaster. And so my first season, I hit the ground running with Survivor guests. And my very first guest was Tanae Goff, who is a singer who was like on tour with the Black Eyed Peas and all that. And she's also a domestic violence survivor. So I hit the ground running with Survivor. So at the end of the season, I decided to kind of let people into my world and kind of explain why I'm so passionate about people having a voice. And I talked about my childhood and how I struggled with not just depression, but also how I struggle with imposter syndrome. And after going through therapy, how I realized
What?
that my struggle with imposter syndrome came from childhood
Wait,
trauma. You know,
wait. Hang on a second. Say it again, because I don't believe I've ever heard of it before. What is it?
imposter syndrome.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. School me.
Okay, so imposter syndrome is basically when a person from the outside looking in, people look at that person and say, oh, they've achieved so much. A lot of the times they're overachievers. But when they look in the mirror, they feel like they're not good enough and they're putting on a facade. And I struggled with that for a very long time. Like I was a straight A student, highest ACT score in my class. I always felt like everything I ever produced had to be 100% perfect. And I used to get kudos and praise from everybody around me, my parents, my siblings, my church members, sorority sisters, everybody. But when I would look in the mirror, I would see just somebody who just was not good enough. Like I wasn't doing enough. I'm not good enough. But everybody's telling me how great of a person I am. And so that's basically what imposter syndrome is. But it's so extreme to where it affects your performance across the board. And so like I literally would have insomnia type nights for weeks on end because I'm trying to perfect something and hold this standard that's not really realistic. But I'm better now.
It has a terrible name. You said imposter
I know,
syndrome.
right?
That's a terrible name. You're just
Absolutely.
I mean, that's just somebody who's just striving to you know, I guess it's like a perfection.
It does. But I think the ideology behind it being called imposter syndrome is that you see yourself as an imposter. Everybody else doesn't see you as that, but you see yourself as that.
Makes sense. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. I heard that and I'm like,
no, but that,
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was that episode, just me sharing, my first experiences with therapy and sharing my discovery of myself, if you will. Sharing how I realized that through therapy that situations that I had no control over as a child, like my father having an outside kid, and hiding it from my mother for about 8-9 years, and then introducing me to the child, and then me going back and telling my mom, not realizing I was doing anything wrong, and creating this huge blow up in my family. It started like I always felt like everything was my fault. I felt like every argument, every fight was my fault, and which caused me as I grew older and became a teenager, it really caused me to start to act out. I ran away a couple times.
Now,
I actually even had some issues with men because of it. So yeah.
Now, do you still have a good relationship with your father?
Yeah, we got better. My dad actually passed away years ago, but we got better after I got older and healed.
So many questions there. Yeah. You might need to come on
for. Ask them.
I just don't understand how you could be. Okay, so your father introduced you to your sibling, but did he tell you not to say anything, or did he just do it and with no instructions?
No, I think he just thought that I would just automatically know, but you got to think, you don't know. But I grew up I was the baby of the family. So I was very gullible, very naive. I didn't think people, we had a great family life. Both of my parents worked. My mom and dad were married. Anything we wanted, we got it. Like we were the first house on the block to have a computer. I'm probably telling my age right now. But, we were a typical middle class family. So I think in his head, I should have known better. But for me, hey, I've got this other sibling mom that I love, and we had fun, and that was how I approached it with my mom.
Wow. Yeah. This is a journey here we going on.
Oh my goodness! Listen. when I tell you, I probably should write a book, but there are some things that I probably would never be able to put out because some things in life, a part of my story, I can't share because they're also parts of other people's stories, like family member stories, and they're not ready.
Well,
if that makes sense, they're not ready. I'm ready to tear it off because, like I said, I've been to therapy, I've healed. But
write the book.
Yeah.
Write the book. Change the names. Change the circumstances. And if it's that deep, change your name too.
That's an idea. I like that. Use an alias.
Yep.
I like that.
Wow. All right. So, first of all, I just want to say thank you to everybody out there who has come through. I've seen so many people come through on several different platforms, but thank you so much. Anybody out there on TikTok, if you are still out there, drop it in the comments and let me know where you're calling from. I see Otto. I'm gonna just call you Otto from D Live. Remind me again where you're calling from if you can drop it in the comments and let me know as well. And of course, what's going on, people out there on Instagram. We have Miss Danny from My Survivor Voice, the podcast. We are getting ready to get into burning questions. I think we can get through one because I think this is really going to ride us on out here for this evening. Very controversial, but we'll see what happens. What are the three main things that are needed to keep a man happy?
Three main things that are needed to keep a man happy. Of course, I'm going to say the cliche and typical answer. Sex, of course, 100% in my opinion. Okay. I don't know any man who would be willing to forfeit that at any time. So I definitely am going to say sex. Also, respect. I think respect encompasses so much that I wouldn't need to name a whole bunch of stuff. So my three, I would say, would be sex, respect, and the quickest way to a man's heart is through his stomach too. So
I think
those three, I would say.
I think you actually got them. I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I would think so. Definitely, sex is number one. Serene Poem says praise and support. Yeah. Shout out to Mr. Coquito out there from Puerto Rico. Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for coming through. And Mr. Alex says sex feud. No feuding because that's going to make it go in the other direction. Sex, food, and mutual honesty. Okay.
Love it. Yes. Love it. Mutual honesty. I like that one. Yes.
You got the number one thing I have to say is sex. And let me ask you this question here because I've heard stories and I know some people who've experienced it. Is there a situation wrong in your relationship when a man no longer wants to have sex?
Yes. I think so.
Should you start to run for the hills the minute that your man does not want to have sex with you anymore?
Okay, so no, I don't think you should run for the hills, but I do think you should put a time limit on it, on how long. And the reason I say you should not run for the hills immediately is because men go through things too. Men have moments where they're not okay mentally. Like we as women, we always get the luxury, I'll say, of I've got a headache or it's that time of the month or I'm not feeling well. We get that. And then for the most part will let us have our moment and be great, I would say. But men don't always get that luxury. A lot of women, when they hear a man say, not tonight, they automatically think he's cheating or, they automatically think it's somebody else or that the man isn't attracted to them. And that's not always the case. It literally could be he had a bad day at work. Or you might have did something to piss him off. So
that whole
I don't think you can automatically say run for the hills, but it can't be forever now. There's got to be a time limit on it.
You better say that. I don't think having a bad day at work is an excuse either, because I mean,
No.
depending on the relationship and the history that you all have and the bond that you have, but sometimes sex can be used as a rejuvenation, and you might need to go to your partner to get rejuvenated and be able to, recharge your battery system back up. So yeah, you could get beat up,
Yes.
out there in the world, all kinds of hell could happen, but then you go back home and you get recharged the right way, if you have the right company. So,
Right.
but
Well, I agree with that, but every man is not. See,
that
that
is
you
true.
gave that answer like an emotionally healthy man.
Hmm.
Every man isn't there yet, so every man doesn't know that this type of activity may help me. May release these endorphins and get
Yeah,
me in a better
yeah,
space.
yeah.
They just know they pissed off right now.
Take you to a whole nother situation where you're not even thinking about certain things. And
Right.
Mr. Coquito says maybe he values you more emotionally. I guess if he's not having sex with you, he values you more emotionally. Here's the problem: when you have been
Mm-hmm.
in a situation and things change over a period of time, that's the question. That's the situation that I was talking about. Maybe
Right. Right. Right.
if he values you more
Absolutely.
emotionally, he would have been acting that way, or she would have been acting that way from day one.
Prior to.
It would not be
Absolutely, I agree.
a surprise to where someone would think, something's not right. Somebody's cheating. Somebody's
Right.
doing something different.
Right. Did I change? Did I gain a little bit too much weight? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
definitely. Those
yeah,
are definitely thoughts women have.
yeah, yeah. Wow. Okay. Now I got one more for you.
Okay.
When it comes to after you've been there before, you tried, either she is not doing what she should be doing, he's not doing what he should be doing, the compatibility is just broken, it's not there anymore. So now we have to go our separate ways. Should one feel guilty for leaving when they have small children involved?
No, absolutely not. 100% hands down, no.
Hmm.
And the reason I say that is unhappy parents make unhappy children. If you stay solely because you have small children, you're not going to be happy, and the kids are not going to be happy.
Hmm. But when you do uh, breakups like that, man, the children suffer no matter what. So
Absolutely.
I can see why some people may stay because of the kids, because they're trying to figure it out. And I've had people come on the show here where their children basically said to them, "You should have done it a long time ago. I was waiting for you to get it done. What the hell did you wait so long
Right.
for?" You know?
Right. And not only that, right, exactly. But not only that, think like what exactly that. Think about the long run. Yeah, it's gonna sting either way. The kids are gonna get hurt one way or the other. But do
Hmm.
you want that long term hurt
I
where you stay and their life is just miserable because mommies are always angry, daddy and mommy are always fighting. That is, I'm telling you from experience from a child who has lived it
hmm
with mommy and daddy always fighting. Don't get me wrong, I love both of my parents,
hmm
and my father rest his soul. But after I stood the game all those years ago, their relationship was so strained, and there were good times after that. Don't get me wrong, but I remember a lot of my childhood being loud and angry all the time, and that
hmm
created me to be loud and angry. And as I got older and got in relationships, that's how I dealt with conflict for a long time. I don't anymore. Again, they could have saved me a lot of money if they'd have just separated, because I wouldn't have spent all that money in therapy.
I got you. I got you. Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we are here. We're up against the clock. This has been an amazing experience, and I just want to say thank you. I can't thank you enough
Thank you.
for coming on here, sharing your story. Um, I hope that this goes to number one as far as the replays, because there's so much knowledge, and there's so much in here that could actually help people. So everybody out there, if you want to do any type of service, one thing that you can possibly do is share this video, create a story, do whatever you need to do to get people to watch this replay, and run it up on YouTube, because there's so much knowledge and so much help in here, for anybody that's going through anything. You never know. You never know what somebody's going through. And sometimes it's just, you know what? Here's this phone number. Here's this, website,
Mm-hmm.
or here, here's my number. How about that? If you need anything,
Absolutely.
reach out to me and let me know. Wow. Danny from My Survivor Voice podcast. Any last thing that you would like to leave us with?
Just be gentle to yourself. That's it. Be gentle to yourself. Be kind to yourself. And know that we're all in this race together and we're just trying to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. We're just trying to figure out life.
Yes, yes. Well, take care. I want to say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Thanks to you and thank you so
And
much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak about giving people a voice. It's so important to me. So I appreciate that.
and once everything gets settled and everything and you're back up, I would love to have you come back and we can go deeper into these conversations.
I love that.
What is the month where domestic violence awareness month? When is that?
October.
Maybe we can set something up for that too.
I would love that.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we definitely will be in touch. Take care and talk to you soon.
Too.
All right.
Okay, then there.
See ya.
Thanks.
Bye. Well, there you have it, Miss Danny from My Survivor Voice podcast. Wow. Emotional roller coaster is what this show has been tonight. And I just want to say thank you all to everybody out there hanging out there. Wow. I've seen a couple people come in and out. It's been amazing. And I don't know if I can get your name correctly, but you said you need my help. Anybody on TikTok, do me a favor, and I would strongly urge you to just text me 609-738-0611. Yeah, I have a feeling that if you DM me over there, you're going to get lost up in some of the other things, but they got some weird restrictions. Sometimes you can DM people, sometimes you can't on TikTok. So strange, but just for the sake of everything, if you have anything, text me 609-738-0611. If you are out of the states or whatever and you can't text, you can obviously click the link above and you can email me directly, from the link above, my social media platforms. But again, very special thank you to Miss Danny coming in on My Survivor Voice podcast. Shout out to Alex Coquito, all the way from Puerto Rico. Thank you for joining as well. Neek, Serene Poems, um, Will, thank you all so much for hanging out there with me tonight. So, if you would like to support the 411 podcast or Reading Between the Wines, a couple things you can do. You can click the link above all of my social media platforms and, go and purchase my book, My Inspirations Volume 1. You can also get the new one that's coming out in just about maybe 2 weeks, Volume 1.5, Deliberation Remix Journal. I have a partnership with Karma's Paradise. I have a partnership with Glam and Bougie Collection. I have a partnership with Coral LLC. Those links are going to be inside of my the link above all my social media platforms. Go inside there. Uh, Exclusives going to be from Coral LLC, exclusives from Karma's Paradise, and exclusives from Shop Glam and Bougie. That will give you an autographed copy of my book, an ebook, and some great gifts that are from some of my best friends out there in this business. So you can also get the pre order link by texting the keyword remix to 609-738-0611. Again, text remix to 609-738-0611, and you will get a pre order link and you can go ahead and order that up and get the book before it is actually released on January 3rd. 2022. And of course, I just want to say thank you to everybody out there: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, D Live, Twitch. Thank you all so much for hanging in there with me tonight. Also, very special shout out to Otto from D Live. Thank you for joining as well. And of course, I have to give a very special thank you to my executive producer, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, for allowing me to come out here and give you all the 4-in-1 podcast one more time in life. Without him, none of this would be possible. I wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be here. So I definitely have to give credit where credit is due. And I just have to say thank you. I will see you all tomorrow at 10 p.m. right here on the 4-in-1 podcast. Thank you all. Have a good night. Good night, y'all. Take care. I will see y'all tomorrow. Good night. Good night. Good night. Thank you.